Okay, so I think I do believe I mentioned this actually a while ago, like a good minute ago. Pardon my cell phone notification. But anyway, just a friendly reminder. Um, I don't think there's been any research. Hopefully that changes. I think I've already prayed about it. I can't say. Okay, so that will be something hopefully I remember to pray about this weekend. But just a friendly reminder, I am before homeschooling classes start session. I'm enjoying time watching the book of. Wow, I'm on the wrong. I just realized I'm on the wrong one. I'm supposed. Oh no, I'm on the right one. Yes, the book of Ezra. Okay, so at first it was Ezekiel, so you're not mishearing it now. It's the book of Ezra. And then I think next I want to do Obadiah. Of course, it will have to be after class. Okay. But as I was thinking, as I was watching, I noticed that a lot of these gospel sources, they are using heavy AI. I do the same, not with the actual content, not I won't even call the content. Lord, forgive me. I don't like to be disrespectful. Not with the actual gospel. That's all God and God, using me. None of that. But with the imagery, typically, yes, like with photos, covers, and stuff like that. But I'm seeing a lot of mistakes that not the gospel people, but the AI, their imagery. I'm thinking they're doing the same thing to cut costs and to be more efficient. I'm seeing like two heads. I'm seeing two heads on people, two heads on animals. I'm seeing 6 fingers. I'm seeing missing fingers. And I just want to say, because I already know that I do believe that I was faithful to make a video a long time ago, actually, in regards to this. And it seems like, yeah. So I mentioned then, and I'm going to mention now, no research, y'all, no research. Okay, so just as your sister in Christ, if you're saved, and if you're not saved, just as your fellow human being that is a mother, consider not, pray to God for, okay, well, for those of you who are not going to pray because you're not saved, I suppose you can just ponder about it. For those of you who are saved, you can pray to God, and whatever He tells you to do, of course, do that. But I had said before, and I'll say again, consider not allowing your anyone that is still learning their numbers, their colors, the difference between real and not real, the concept of space, the concept of time, just these things, but mostly imagery, right? Like, if they're still building this, and I believe at 5, between 0 and 5, they're absolutely building all these concepts. How many fingers does, now we know that can change, like, but these are what we, teach children, and what life teaches children is when you see someone who is co-joined, that is not normal. That is called a anomaly. Okay, so we usually don't teach them that term, but as they get older, they know the term anomaly, and it's a departure from normal. When we see someone who has 6 fingers or missing fingers, we also know that that is it is called birth defect, and it is an anomaly. And, this is something that we learn, as we become older children. So I'm just reminding you that you do have a option, and I would even talk to any teachers, that I think that the teachers are probably really gung-ho about it. Like, actually, I think the teachers would probably be all for it, but I don't like to be presumptuous. That you would like your child to have, like, a artificial intelligence teaching, because of the mistakes that are being made, where the child is learning reality essentially between the ages of 0 and 5. So until that is cemented in, I'm just saying, parents, not to be alarmist or anything, but I think parents, just be mindful, because my babies are older and stuff, and they have their thing that in this life, we all have the path that the Lord has set for us to walk and stuff. But and I will respect their privacy, but nonetheless, your children do too. So just be mindful, because I wish that someone, my mom did pour into my life a lot, but like, it wasn't perfect in that, like, some of things were not foreseen. And I wish that someone had loved me enough to be honest with me that, like, maybe this isn't the best thing, etc. And just, they say 2 heads are better than 1. So you can consider it. This is not an order or anything. Do you feel comfortable? Question, do you feel comfortable with AI in the life of your child between the age of 0 and 5, where reality is still being set in their minds because they're learning it? They're learning the concept of time, space, distance, what is real, what is not real, how many, what are the colors, what are the numbers, what does a human body have, the name of the parts of the human body, what is normal for the human body to have, what is not normal for the human body to have. And I think that, while we don't have any data, and there's no guarantee that any data will be gathered, okay? I think it's best to, my personal opinion is, it's best to abstain from the ages of 0 and 5 and just have your child between the age of 0 and 5 live a AI-free life. Am I saying that these gospels are wrong that I'm currently watching now? No, but my children are 17, so one is a man, essentially, 17 and 13 years old, and they are past where, the typical, and even then, I'm gonna tell you something that might, like, blow your mind. I'm still, because I'm definitely not a hypocrite. If I feel at any moment that AI is not good in any capacity, because the way that I raise my sons, the way that I teach, and instruct them with homeschooling, and the way I raise them and stuff, share the gospel, is very dynamic. The Holy Spirit is dynamic. I don't understand anyone who thinks God is boring. And so, if I at any point feel like AI is hurting my sons, hurting their concept of reality, hurting their progress, hurting their understanding of the world and the world around them, I will do what any decent parent would do. I will regroup. Okay, that doesn't mean like take AI. It could go, because there are extremes, and it, depending on what the situation is, it could be appropriate. I typically would probably take the middle ground to see exactly what it is that is causing confusion for them or making their world not okay with the AI. And perhaps I've seen some AI images that were actually a little disturbing. Not necessarily like it was meant to be disturbing, but because it is, and it can be shocking, and you never know. You never know how those little eyes perceive the mistakes, right? Because if these gospel people, if they were using humans, now we both know that these humans would draw 2 eyes and 1 head and 2 hands. We know that, and that's the benefit. That's the benefit, of hiring people to do your artistry, is that they won't make this mistake, because they're not some type of weird type of force thingy that is doing this instead of in place of human beings that are artists, right? So you never know, and you would hate to do something that would disturb someone who is 0 to 5, and you're not able to pinpoint, which could lead to misdiagnosis and just crazy stuff. And I know that that's extreme. That is extreme. But even if that happens with one family, that is a horrible situation, because a child at 0 to 5 America is getting ridiculous with all these diagnoses and all of these maladies and all of these problems and issues, especially in the age of 0 to 5, where essentially, if we would be perfectly honest, most children should be perfectly healthy, especially with how many vaccinations. And just in case y'all try to pigeonhole me, I'm with the whole, like, I believe in the herd thing, the herd mentality, the herd theory. And that means now, usually when people say the herd theory, and I know it seems like I'm going off into a tangent, but that's actually not true. I just want to finish this because it's an excellent point to make. And I do want this point to be made because I feel like people want you to alienate yourself from groups of people. And I do not like to alienate myself from groups of people that I have no problem with, that I would rather not be alienated from. Okay. Even if it means that perhaps people don't like me as much as they would have if I chose to be in a clique with them, I prefer to not alienate myself. Like if I distance myself from any person or any group of individuals, it's because it's organic and there's an organic problem there, either minor or really serious problem, but I never allow anyone, either an individual or a group of people, cause me to detach myself from an individual or a group of people because of some type of propaganda or something like that I do not agree with, that I don't necessarily adopt for my own or agree with. And many times when you hear the herd mentality theory mentioned, it is people who are pro-vax. I take a more holistic approach, being I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Republican. I take a more holistic approach that I believe that we benefit from the herd doctrine, and it is hurtful to force a group of people who typically are a minority group of people, many of whom are extremely educated, and they're making an educated decision in regards to their child. I think it's hurtful to coerce them to do something and compel them to do something that they really would not do, especially regarding the body of their child. So I am in favor for those who do not vax, because I also realize that most people are in vaxing, including me. And I love how I don't have a dog in this fight, and I don't allow anyone to cause me to alienate. For example, there's one group of people I would alienate myself from. Those who vehemently, because actually a lot of people fall into their own category, but those who vehemently attack non-vaxxers, I distance myself from those people. And if you're one, hopefully, because I try to be friendly, hopefully you will reconsider, because notice how I'm not attacking you. I have no interest in attacking you. But I don't like when people attack other people. So I have no problem with vaxxers. I have no problem with non-vaxxers who are educated, because there is a such thing as neglect. And if you have absolutely no idea why you're not doing something, I suppose you can fall into that category. You just don't feel like it. You got better things to do. I suppose that could be termed neglect. But these people who have done research, these people who have read, and they know what they're doing, they clearly care about their child. That is not the same thing. And they should not be demeaned in any capacity, and they should not be coerced to do something with their child's body that they do not believe in. My children being vaccinated and being well vaccinated is kind of a cover for them. So they don't have to do something wrong or right. They don't have to do something that is against their own conscience. But going back, I'm going to end this because I think I said a lot, a mouthful. So yeah, like, I'm just wanted, because I hate it when, like, I can't be silent when I see things sometimes that, not in these gospel ones, but not in these gospels, but I have seen images, it has probably been in some gospel ones, that looked kind of disturbing. And we know that wouldn't happen if it was a human being. Even if they weren't saved, which is crazy. If they weren't saved, they still wouldn't be drawing 2 heads. They still wouldn't be drawing 3 noses. And so just something to think about, because I think one of the most loving things someone can do is say something in a friendly manner, because genuinely it could benefit you. Now, I'm not saying either or. I'm not saying this is from higher from God or prophecy. I'm just saying that the age of 0 to 5, like, we benefited because this did not exist when we were 0 to 5 years old, when we were just learning the colors and the shapes and learning reality and not reality, and just learning these things and getting. And I just don't want a single child to be shortchanged or have night terrors because the image that perhaps you glanced away to get, like an apple, or to go, check the mail, or to check on the baby that's crying in the other room. So maybe you never even see it, but the child sees it, and they see the world so differently than we do. So just something to think about, because oftentimes, like, many people, they didn't have the time, or they didn't care enough to give me, just solid, like, advice. Like, you don't even have to take it. But I've noticed, you seem to, maybe you should wear your baby, or maybe you should breastfeed your baby more often. Like, just, just encouraging stuff like that. So, yeah. So I think I'll end it here, because I think that I've said enough. Like, if it helps even one person with their child, and perhaps, because sometimes even a person is already considering something, because I know sometimes I'm like this, they're already considering something, or God is already speaking to them, but to hear someone else say it doesn't, they get encouraged. Like, perhaps you were already considering, like, not having AI for your 0 to 5 year old, because you want them to have a life that the 0 to 5 year olds that you had, where it was just real life. Like, that's it. Like, and baby books had, I remember when I was a baby, and baby books had essentially 0 to 5, they had a writer, and under the writer was the illustrator, right? Wow, this is going back, right? It's giving me memories. And the illustrator was a human being that could be named, right? And I'm not demonizing these gospels, because I use it too for imagery. What I'm saying is that something can be good, but not necessarily best. Even with me, it's because I don't have the fiduciary power to go out here and empower and pay a proper artist to make these YouTube covers. So I rely heavily on this artificial intelligence. But if I see like a glaring problem, typically I've always tried to either chalk that, just chuck that image, or, try again or something like that. So it's not because I have no idea who's going to see my stuff. And your child could walk into the room 0 to 5, and some of my stuff is mature, and that's okay. But, like, seriously, like, if it's supposed to be something that could be family friendly, like the gospel, then you don't want to see like a 2-headed man walking around, because that's an anomaly, right? And typically we learn about those things, but we don't learn about them till we're older, right? So it's just food for thought. If just know you're not crazy, and you're not the only person thinking about it or considering it. Other people are thinking the same thing. If you want to have a normal childhood, if you want to abstain from artificial intelligence for your child's formidable years, not only are you not crazy, but you're probably not the only parent that is considering doing that. So just some encouragement for you to let you know you're not crazy, and it is a good idea if you feel led by the Lord to do it and He agrees. Okay. And I will try to continue to be mindful of the images, because I have had AI make a lot of mistakes in regards to these images. And I will try to be mindful too, because I'm not perfect, but typically I vet the stuff before I put it out. So if an image is it can be disturbing in a way that it's not a good reflection of reality, or even biblical, not fantasy, but because that is reality. But if it's just off in regards to what reality is supposed to look like, in that particular context, I will try to be mindful to continue, as I have been, to chuck those images, because it is not good, especially for people who, and not even just young people, there's people who have mental illness, and it's could be traumatic for them to walk in on a two-headed person when they're trying to hear the Bible, right? Someone who's struggling with that, that could be even traumatic for an older person or a disabled person, so I try to be sensitive about all that, because the church is inclusive, right? So I try to be insensitive about all that, but you're not crazy. You're not the only one. And hopefully, if God leads you down that road, hopefully you'll meet at least one or two other parents that are doing the same thing, so that you can have fellowship that is, because I think fellowship is best mixed, but you can also have fellowship that also is doing the same thing as you are, in addition to those who are more mainstream, etc. So may you be pardon, I'm sorry, I had to belch. Not ladylike. Pardon me, ladies and gentlemen, but may you be blessed. I'm sorry that I had to belch. I just ate breakfast. And no, you're not crazy. And I do wish, if you truly want AI free for your 0 to 5-year-old, not only do I support you, I pray that every teacher in your child's life also supports what you're trying to do. So, okay, bye.